Good morning. Good to see you this morning. Glad you have taken the time to be here. Thank you for making it a priority to be a part of our Bible study. And of course today, as we're going to share with you the spiritual blueprint for 2022, we will try to cover as much of this as we can. There are several new things that we'll be discussing, and it's impossible to go through this word for word, and you have a copy. I hope if you don't, in fact, those who do not have a copy of the spiritual growth plan and you would like one, please raise your hand. If you don't have one over here, Junior. Anyone else? Got a couple here. Has a lot of information in it, and in particular calendars that would be very beneficial as you plan activities for the year. So do keep this handy and refer to it often. We're going to begin with, and we're going to go on to page 11. Anyone else? We're going to begin on page 11. Some of these other things will be discussed as others come up here to talk. Page 11, this discusses, this is our evangelism page, and you can refer back to the goals on page 2 that relate as well. I want to take just a few minutes. A lot of these goals, in particular with local outreach, domestic missions, and foreign missions, are ongoing. Some of the same goals we've had for the past few years. I'm going to take just a few minutes to point out a couple of new goals and some things that we're going to be implementing and emphasizing throughout the year. And we'll begin with number 1 there under evangelism. You recall we had Brother Rob Whitaker with us a few weeks back, and his discussion and talk on evangelism, personal evangelism, and teaching the gospel. We're going to do our very best to implement that process here, parts of that process. And that's what these goals will relate to. And I'm going to go through these, and I want you to look at these and think about these. Really no greater goal that I can think of than fulfilling the Great Commission, taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to those that are lost. And that's the emphasis will be for not just the preachers and the elders and the deacons, but for every member of this body to be involved in taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to others. Part of that process will involve things here at the building. For example, I don't think we've ever had a Sunday when we didn't have visitors with us, some within the church, but a lot of times those who are not in the church. So there's a great opportunity for us to begin a process of cultivating friendships and relationships with people and to be able to spread the gospel. So we will have greeters who will, frankly, that will be their job, to identify those folks, to welcome them, to get information, have them fill out cards and so forth, so that we can continue to try to reach out to them. There will be a table that will be set up in the lobby there, and it will be an evangelism table. And on that table there will be resources that all of us can use to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we'll be giving you more information about that in the future. But and that just made me think, there's going to be a table there, but we would also need people to man that table. And what that means is, here's another opportunity to step up and serve. And I guess I should have said that at the beginning, because that's certainly been on my mind. Every single one of us, and we have a great bunch of folks here at LJ as far as people wanting to do things and to help out. And we thank you for that and commend you for that and urge you to continue doing that. But more, find something else to help out with. Let's try to increase the areas in which we serve, and let's encourage our brothers and sisters to step up and serve. And in particular with this, as we go into this evangelism program. So there'll be a table there in the lobby, and it will have materials to carry on Bible studies, cards of encouragement, those kinds of things, other resources. Each member will be involved in developing a contact list. Every one of us know and have people that are near and dear to us that we would like to share the gospel with. So part of the emphasis will be each one of us to develop a list for people that we can pray that will have an opportunity to teach, that we can reach out to when they're going through difficulties and cultivate an opportunity to reach them. But again, that's something that we have to actively do. We have to go out and do that. Along with that, and the next bullet under that is a card ministry. And I'll say this, boy, there have been many of you, and I know we're all aware of this, that have been outstanding in sending cards of encouragement for birthdays, for this and that, throughout the years, and thank you very much for that. We want to be even more involved in that. We want to get even more people involved in that. So there will be a card ministry, and if you'll notice, it says it will be funneled through the agape groups. And you may ask yourself, what is an agape group? Well, as part of this process, our care teams that we have done in the past, we're going to kind of add to it a little bit. And part of that, to signify that change, we've decided to change the name from care team to agape teams. What does agape mean? We know that is the love of God. It is an unconditional love. It is a love that seeks the best interest, not of myself, but of someone else. So that is going to be a highlight, and Jeremy will talk more about that later as he talks about the theme for the year, because that's going to tie into our yearly theme. But those, and we're going to have 4 of these agape groups, and you can see that under the next heading there of agape groups. There'll be 4 of those, and we'll work on dividing up the members of the church here in LJ. Everybody will be listed on these agape teams, and as a part of that agape team, this card ministry as well as some other things will be involved. Also, let me mention this, the Bible studies that will come through this. Of course, obviously the staff here, the elders here, and there will be others that will be identified that will be available to help with these Bible studies and teaching people the truth about the gospel. You may not feel comfortable in doing these studies yourself, but you may be able to set one up and have someone to come in and help you, and them help with that lesson. So again, there are many ways for every single member to be involved in this evangelism program. Continue on here, these agape groups, and again, there'll be more detail about this going forward. Each member of the church will be placed in it. Here's how we will try to do this, at least initially, and see how this works. We'll have 4 groups, so first week of a month, group 1 would stay after on a Sunday morning for lunch and have a agape team meeting. And of course, in that meeting, the cards would be passed. Here are some folks that we need to encourage, or whatever the situation may be. It will also provide an opportunity for those visitors that we were talking about a minute ago that come and visit with us, for us to ask them, would you please stay and have lunch with us today? You know, you don't even have to pay for it. You just come on, we've got it ready here, and we can take them on back there and have them to enjoy a meal with that group. So group 1 will meet one week, group 2 the next, group 3 the next, so on and so forth, and we keep rotating that way. Again, there'll be more details about this later on. Yes. Yes. Sandy Lickus's mother will be having a birthday, and you can have the address for those who would like to send her. Sandy's not going to be able to be there, obviously, with taking care of mine. So those who might want to send Sandy's mom a birthday card, please see Sherry. She has the address to be able to send it. That would be very good. Yes, thank you very much. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. Those are opportunities we have to encourage and to maybe open doors. Okay, I'm going to hush. Other folks have got to talk here. Again, next week we'll be sharing a whole lot more about how these groups will work and how this evangelism process will work. Would just leave you with this thought that I mentioned it just a minute ago. Let's everyone, number one, resolve to be a part of this, spreading the gospel, and there's going to be a lot of different ways that you can help in that process. And let's all try to find another way above and beyond what we're already doing to help out in the year to come. Thank you.
Good morning. If you will turn your packet over to the very back to the technology section, we'll start there. We are going to have to jump around a little bit here in this section. I'm not going to go through and read all these things. A couple things that I do want to point out. Will and Nathan handle this section very well. Any problem that comes up, they're always willing to help. Caleb and Jeremy step in and help out. But if you'll see Will's back there this morning, and it's either going to be Will or Nathan back there. And we desperately need some people to kind of step up and be willing to be trained to kind of give them some relief. So if you have any desire to learn technology as far as streaming the service and those type of things, please see Will or Nathan, because they really need some help. One thing I do want to point out with our technology here, I know some of you have made the comment, I know some of you have heard the comment that the streaming service that we have here at LJ is one of the best that they've ever seen. So Will and Nathan and all you guys that work with technology, thank you so much for all that you do. Let's jump over to page number 14, if you will. We'll start down at the bottom at the ladies' ministry. And again, I'm not going to read all this to you. There's the name of the ladies who kind of head up all these activities. I do want to point out one thing. Over on the right-hand side column, they provide yearly funding for a child to attend a Christian school in Africa, and this is with Brother Dorian Flynn and the work that he's doing there. And then if you will turn the page, you will see this year that all the food teams have been included in the blueprint. There are 6 food teams. They have been divided up by geographic areas, and each team has a chairman and a co-chairman. And I just want to say this. I know there's been a multitude of meals that have been prepared, especially in the last 2 years, for COVID victims and sick, funerals, all types of opportunities that these ladies have had to prepare meals. And it may just be a simple dish, but it does make a lot of difference to a lot of folks. And so the good work that you're doing is very much appreciated. And if you don't see your name on there and you'd like to participate, please contact either Pam or Laura Kay, and they will place you on a team, and they can always put you to work. And if you have any questions or anything, you can see one of those ladies. Again, on page 14, let's go to the Edification and Fellowship. Jason and Candy are heading this area, and Gerald and Abby have volunteered to assist them in this area of work as well. And here is a list of some of the activities that we do have, and if you'll go back to sorry to make you jump around so much, but if you'll jump back to the calendar, which I believe is on page, thought I had it written down, but I don't. Page 4. If you'll go to that, I'm not going to read all this to you as well, but I do want to point out some things that we are doing differently this year. In 2 weeks, on the 23rd of January, the Joy of Generosity Seminar with Kyle Butt. We'll be having that. He'll talk about stewardship. If you'll jump down to March the 19th, we'll have the Men's Christian Leadership Conference. This has normally been held in Dalton for about 10 or 11 years, and they've asked us if we would take that work on and have that here at LJ. So we'll be having that, and you'll see the next day that Dale Jenkins will be the guest speaker. He and his brother Jeff, and I believe David Decker will be speaking at the Men's Christian Leadership Conference on the 19th. On the 27th of March, we want to have a Deacon's Appreciation Luncheon to show our appreciation to the deacons and all the hard work that they do. And then on April the 29th and 30th, we'll have a Stronger Families Workshop. Last spring, we had Trey and Lee Morgan come and talk about our marriages and our families, and they're coming back to talk to us again that weekend. It'll be on a Friday night and a Saturday, and then he will speak on Sunday morning. And then August the 17th through the 25th, Polishing the Pulpit is scheduled to be conducted this year. It's been canceled for the last 2 years because of COVID, and as far as we know right now, unless things change, it's still on the calendar. September the 11th, we'll have a First Responders Luncheon, and October the 21st through the 23rd, Willie Franklin will be here to conduct our fall revival, and if you've ever heard Willie Franklin speak, you know that would be a great treat. And then the last thing is on November the 4th through the 6th, the ladies' retreat will be having a retreat in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I think I'm not sure who else is helping with that, but I know Jennifer Maddox is kind of arranging those things, so if you have any questions about that as well. That's all the things that I have to cover. Anybody have any questions or comments about those things? Okay, thank you very much.
All right. If you want to turn to the calendar for the youth on page 5, I'm going to try not to take too much time because I know Curtis and Jeremy both need as much time as they can get. There's a couple things on the calendar. I know many of you make your plans based around the calendar, and I've heard several say that they're really glad to get this so that they can be making their calendar out. I tried to color coordinate everything so it kind of highlights what each thing is, but there's a couple of new things on the calendar this year. First off, the area-wide youth night is tonight in Woodstock. Mike Williams, the president of Faulkner University, is speaking. We're going to be leaving here at 2:30 this afternoon. They're starting it at 4. So if any young people plan on going to that, please let me know after services this morning. Also, you'll notice there on the 19th through the 23rd of February, we've added this to the list. One of the things that we've talked about in the last couple years of our congregational meeting was that we wanted to do some sort of mission trip or youth retreat. Their winter break is there the 19th through the 21st through the 25th, officially on the school calendar. The Woodstock congregation and Piedmont Road have invited us to go with them to East Point, Florida, and right across from I believe it's St. George Island there, that we're going to be staying at a retreat center on St. George Island, and then doing some mission work with the East Point congregation and a youth retreat all combined into that. The cost for that is $125 per person that wants to go, so for our young people. And so that is new to the list. And then also down in May, there's also something new there on the list, the 27th through the 29th, which is the beginning part of Memorial Weekend. Piedmont Road is hosting what we're calling the Ministry League Experience. On the 26th, the day before that, there will be a creators conference for members of the Churches of Christ who are creative individuals making videos or doing podcasts or various things. And then the 27th through the 29th will be a youth track and a adult track for practical evangelism for our young people and for our adults. And so that's another thing that we'll be participating in this year. If you look there on the red highlight throughout each month, Will and Kristen have volunteered to begin helping with the C Squad, and they are going to be making a monthly activity available, but that's to be determined or to be announced based on Kristen's schedule. So each month, the C Squad will have some sort of activity, and we'll announce that at the beginning of each month what that plan will be. Down in June, you see the Camp Watoga Week 1 for LJ Week. I want to begin making a plea now. We need help for that, and any adults that are willing to maybe help out in the kitchen or help with staffing the camp, we really want to encourage our folks to be actively involved in that this year. In July, you see the Vacation Bible School, the 10th through the 13th. We're doing it in the same pattern that we did last year, and I know it was an adjustment for some, but it seemed to go over pretty well, where the young people are encouraged, the boys, to stay here at the building and camp here at the building throughout the week, and the girls at our house, and then doing service projects in the morning and Vacation Bible School in the evening with that as well. We have a couple lock-ins there on the calendar. That seems to be the biggest hit with all of our young people. You see there in August 12th, the back to school lock-in, and on the 7th we have our back to school youth night. We're hoping that this year finally we get to have that in person. The last 2 years we've had to do it, 2 years ago we had to cancel it. This last year we had to do it virtually. Lord willing, this year we'll be in person and be able to have that good activity here. And then also in December, we have a lock-in there on the calendar as well. As far as youth education and activities, we have a lot of things and a lot of goals in mind that we want to establish. If you turn to page 12 there in the booklet here, you see youth education there. We would love to see more volunteer teachers. Teachers is always something that is a challenge for whoever is coordinating that, to get people to volunteer, and oftentimes you end up with the same people over and over again, quarter after quarter, who take those classes on, and we really appreciate the folks who are willing to do that. We need more people to be willing to step into those roles and to be willing to help with our young people. Of course, we've got a lot of goals and things that we want to accomplish, and each item is lined out there. If you turn over on the next page to page 13, there's going to be some changes to the homework club of what we've been doing in years past, and last year we weren't able to have it due to COVID. Lord willing, January the 26th will be our first time to start back with the homework club. And we've moved it from Tuesday nights to Wednesday nights. And so immediately after school on Wednesdays, we will be receiving the kids here at the building. We'll start off with a snack and then do various activities and tutoring and helping them with homework. And then the plan is around 5:30 or 5:45, we will have supper, and we'll have a hard date or hard time on that for everybody in the near future. But the supper will be for them and any of the members of our congregation that want to come and join us for supper here at the building. And I think that'll be a benefit to some of our young people that are in sports practices, and maybe some of our teachers and various individuals who don't have time to prepare a supper beforehand on Wednesday night. You're invited to come and eat with us. Kristen and I will be cooking, and we will be adjusting the plan depending on how many people we see showing up on a regular basis, but we've done this in the past and cooked for 40 or 50 folks each week, and enjoyed that time together. So be thinking about that, of ways you can help volunteer with the Homework Club, and I know we've had a great participation with that in years past. Camp Watoga, as I mentioned, we need volunteers, and we need folks that are willing to help us with that camp. We've always had a great help financially with the camp to be able to sponsor a lot of scholarships, and we're thankful for all that. We had a camp board meeting last night and discussing the plans going forward. We hope to be at full capacity this year and are planning for that. I think that's all the main things that I wanted to highlight before Curtis and Jeremy get up here. But we have a lot of things going on, a lot of plans in place, and we want to certainly focus on helping our youth and our families to maximize their spiritual potential. And it's been a transition for us in that a lot of our youth group as a whole graduated the last couple of years, and so we have a sort of a rebuilding back. We've got a lot of young folks that are coming into the youth group, but we certainly appreciate each and every one involved and all the things that we have going on throughout the year.
Good morning. I know this is a lot of information to digest, but appreciate you taking it in with us. I want to talk for just a minute about the overall theme for the year. And pretty early on, the elders decided the passage of Scripture they felt like we needed to focus on. And it's from 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 11. And that's where we'll take our sermon from this morning and where we'll be for a lot of the year. At least once a month, we're going to hit on this theme because we think it's really important. And you can read the letter from the elders that sort of explains this. But in verse 4 of 2 Peter chapter 1, it talks about the great and precious promises of God. And that word in Greek for promise is actually only used twice, both times in 2 Peter. And it's not just talking about the generic part of a promise, but this is the fulfilling of a promise. And for Peter, here writing this letter, which is his farewell address, he's talking about God's ability to fulfill his promises. And so when he talks about these great and precious promises, he's talking about the promise of eternal life. And when you get to the end of the passage in verse 11, he reiterates that these things that he's just discussed, excuse me, are what are going to help us get to heaven. And so there are 7 Christian virtues listed. And you see on your cover page there's 8 things. The base of that is faith. We have our faith as a foundation, and then these 7 things: goodness, knowledge, self-control, perseverance, godliness, mutual affection, and love are what we grow into. And so we're going to look at this passage, and that's sort of what we're going to be. We're going to be growing this year, trying to develop all of these attributes, and ultimately we want our end goal to be love, not brotherly love like this mutual affection, that's part of it, but unconditional love for each other. And so that's what we're going to be kind of thinking about this year. And in conjunction with that, if you'll go back to page 11 where Mark was with the agape groups, we thought this was really important to do in the care teams, because of COVID and things, we haven't been able to do them much lately. A lot of the things have been done virtually and assignments and such, so we wanted to revamp that a little bit. And so here's how that will work, and Mark touched on this a little bit. The agape groups will be responsible for both outreach through evangelistic effort, reaching out to visitors, all those sorts of things, as well as caring for each other, visiting the sick and sending out cards and all those things. So it'll be a twofold effort, very similar to the way we've done things in the past. But the meetings will take place on Sunday afternoon. So there will be 4 groups, and each of you will be placed in a group. It's going to be a random division. We're going to sort of pick those randomly and then make some adjustments to make sure that everything is even. And then on the first Sunday, there will be a potluck in the fellowship hall. If you're in team 1, you're going to be responsible for that. And so I know that sounds like a lot, but once a month I don't think is that big of an ask. Everybody bring a dish. It'll actually probably be cheaper on your wallet to just bring a dish for potluck than it will to go to a restaurant. And so once a month, we'll have that. Group 1 will be responsible the first Sunday, Group 2 the second Sunday, Group 3 the third Sunday, and Group 4 the fourth Sunday. And if we're having a congregational potluck on your Sunday, we will just proceed with that. And then once that's winding down, your group will kind of get together and meet During that meal, we'll hand out the cards, make assignments, talk about anything we need to be talking about. Also, we'll invite visitors to that. So if a visitor's here and we say, hey, we'd like for you to go eat, you're not going to have to stand in line at a restaurant. You can just walk right over here to this nice new building that we have and enjoy a meal with us. And some may decline, but many will stay with us, and that'll be an opportunity for us to get to know them. So the orientation for that, where we explain this in more detail, will be on February the 6th, and then this will begin the first Sunday in March with Group 1. And so that's kind of where we're going to go with that. We would like to have 2 families lead each group. So starting today, we're taking volunteers for that. If you would like to be a group leader, let me know. And if we don't get any of that, then some of you will be getting a phone call over the next week or so, and you will be asked to do that. So we'd like to have 2 couples sort of lead each group so that that responsibility is not just on one family. And so I mean, we're excited to do that and see how it works. As far as the summer series, if you look over there, we're not going to go through that lesson by lesson, but that is on page 7. Page 7 is the summer series, and we don't have the speakers locked in yet, but we did want to identify the topics. And so that will be our summer series starting June the 1st and going through August 31st. And then if you jump back one page on page 6, we have our adult Bible classes. And I just want to talk for 1 second about those. So this quarter, of course, Sunday morning here, we're doing Galatians. And also the college students have a class in the fellowship hall. And then Wednesday, of course, our What We Believe class. We're going to ratchet that up a little bit next quarter. Barry Pritchett will be teaching Proverbs here in the auditorium, and we're going to start back a class over in the fellowship hall. When I first got here, we called this a young professionals class, but this was for younger families with children, and we sort of kind of met over in the fellowship hall, and that's not exclusive to that group, but that's what that class is going to be centered towards, those of us with families trying to raise them in a Christian life. Our college students also will be in that class, college-age students. So in the winter and the summer, the college class will meet because a lot of those college students will be home, and then in the spring and the fall, they're going to be involved in that class, and I'll be teaching that for the spring and the fall quarter. On Wednesday night, Tim will be teaching Grace here in the auditorium, and Kristen will be teaching the ladies' class over in the fellowship hall. We'll also have a GSOP class on Monday nights. In the summertime, as we mentioned, Junior and I will be teaching the auditorium. College class will meet in the fellowship hall. Our summer series, of course. Then next fall, Mark Pettit will be teaching here in the auditorium, 1st and 2nd Timothy. Our class will meet in the fellowship hall. Then on Wednesday, Nathan and I will be teaching a class on angels. I'm looking forward to that. And then we'll have a first principles class over in the fellowship hall. And then in the fall, starting in September, we'll have another GSOP class. And so we've got a full schedule of classes. If attendance continues to go up, we may add a class or 2 here. So we really are excited about that. And of course, we all know that we need to be part of the Bible school program, and we invite everybody to be, and we appreciate you being here this morning.
Lots of activities, right? A lot of places to be involved in and programs to participate in and being involved in the work of the church. I want to mention a couple of things before I get into some of these specifics. But on page, we have reorganized, it's been reorganized and put together a little bit differently this year than it has been in the past. But on page 3, we've got all the contacts for the different areas of work of the church. That's got the elders on it, and then the areas of work by deacons and other people as well. And then if you notice on page 10, growing the Lord's church through love, service, and participation by each member working together. That's a goal. It's always been a goal, but it's listed separately. And then these areas and programs of work then are listed behind this, and some of them before it, as we've just mentioned, and then we get into the specific areas. And we thank everyone for putting this together, for all the work that's done on it. And in fact, Kelly got tired of seeing us coming because she knew there was another change to this program, and Kelly, this got to be retyped. Where's Kelly? Kelly not here this morning. She's probably tired of redoing this thing and didn't make it here. But anyway, there's been a lot of involvement in putting this together, and it changed for the last week or so. It just about changed literally every day when something had to be typed to it. Page 17, Benevolence. We have a lot of requests for benevolence and from the community, and we also provide assistance to members as well, as you see. And Bob keeps up with this in writing the checks, and also he and Nathan, and then if there's credit card issues charged for people to pay rent or their utilities, whatever, that's done. But you can see there the financial support given in 2021 was $35,372. In 20, it was a little over $32,000. Not all these numbers, but many of these numbers includes funds that were given by individuals that did not come out of the church treasury per se. That's the breakdown on how the funds were expended, and you see a major thing there on disaster relief that was given in October when the tornadoes came through, and then here recently, the tornadoes recently, and then back in October, we had all the flooding and so forth. So, and we have requests from, in reference to benevolence too. We've got 2 or 3 organizations in Gilmer County that helps a great deal with benevolent help. Faith, Hope, and Charity is one of them. And if they come in there and somebody comes in there and says, I need $500 help with my rent, they're not going to give them $500. So they'll call the office and want to know, can y'all help with the rent? Same thing with power bills, heat bills, and all that. So we get those referrals as well, and then members of the church know people that needs help too, whether it's in the community or whatever. So that's how that helps, how that takes place. So, but we do a lot of support for benevolence here and other places as well when there's disaster relief. Then turn to page 18. Page 18. Page 18 includes 3 areas there. One, finances, building and grounds, transportation. What I want to mention in building and grounds is that Brother Mark is working with us now. Where's Brother Mark? Is he outside? Brother Mark Wilson been appointed as a deacon. Brother Mark suggested that we have a work day once a quarter. So you'll see that on the calendar. So that's something that will take place each quarter here at the building. We're doing things around the building that needs to be done. Those are scheduled, 4 of those during the year, and you can see the first one's in there. That's in January. So keep that in mind. And then another thing we need to do, if we can, and that's retop this parking lot over at the back and print it and stripe this one in the back. And so if we have funds available to do that, we will. And then Brother John has been working on the building for a while, and one thing we've had to do is to step up the care of the baptistry. We had a fellow come in and redid the baptistry back in the spring, and that has to be drained and cleaned, chemicals put in it, all these type things done. So Brother John coordinates that. And then on transportation, we've been trying, John's been trying to get some folks to help drive. And we have the folks that's listed to drive there on transportation, so that's a great deal, and appreciate all that's taking place. Brother Bob and Nathan work on the finances in reference to doing the reports and writing the checks. Kelly helps with this and also makes the contributions each week. So let me say this too about the electronic giving. Electronic giving is a convenient way to give financially to the LJ Church. It's done on a regular basis. We have folks that do electronic giving weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly. One of the keys to contribution, and the contribution being able to be made to budget, which I'll talk about in just a minute, is being consistent with our giving. You know, we're all required to give financially. And sometimes we don't talk about that much in reference to most members don't want to talk about financial giving. But that's a part of being a Christian and a Christian in fulfilling the responsibilities of being a Christian, is using our financial resources. Most everybody in here, these adults, everybody works, just about, or retired. And if you're retired and draw a Social Security check, starting in January, you'll get a 5.9% increase in your Social Security pay. That's not a lot of money, but it's more than you got in December. Why don't take a little bit of that money and give it to the Lord? So that means all of us on Social Security can raise our contribution, right? If you're on a pension, your government pension is going to go up. Mine has already. So, and then let's be consistent with our giving. Again, whether it's monthly, every week, or whether it's every other week. A little bit about the budget. The budget's on page 8 and 9. In 2021 that we've just ended with, do you have any idea what the average contribution was each week? Anybody? I know Bob does, and the elders do, preachers do. You know what the budget was set on the 21 budget plan, growth plan? Right. Contribution averaged $7,600 a week. $7,600 a week. Now I know that the virus and COVID has impacted folks' income. In 19, latter part of 19, and then 20 and 21. But doing the Lord's work has not stopped costing money. That means when the finances go down and the contributions go down through a congregation, an LJ congregation, we are not able to do as much. We have to cut those things that are being done. And some things have to increase. Salaries for the preachers and staff has not increased. And Caleb's been here now, this is his first full year, but Jeremy's salary hadn't increased. Neither has Caleb's, neither has Jackie's and Kelly's. But That's the reason I say we need to be consistent. Now, we have lowered, we had to cut the budget because of the contributions, and this next year's budget is scheduled at $7,800 a week. That's one reason that Brother Butts will be here on the 23rd of this month to talk about the joy of generosity in giving to the Lord's work. Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do. And if you're not involved in a particular program or area of work, I hope you'll get involved, and let's do more in 2022, because maybe we'll get some things back to normal. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any questions? I thought I was out of time, but I said my watch says I am out of time. It's 15 after. I thought it said 10 after. Any questions? Any suggestions, recommendations, complaints? Thank you very much.